Before we dive into the chilling truth, don't forget to hit subscribe, smash that like button, and leave a comment if you want to uncover the darkest secrets hiding behind seemingly perfect lives. This is a story that will haunt you long after the screen goes dark. The morning air in Coralville was icy and still, the kind of quiet that feels unnatural, like the world itself is holding its breath. At 6:40 a.m., police received a frantic 911 call. The voice on the line was shaky, almost incomprehensible, but the terror was unmistakable. When officers arrived at the modest two-story home tucked into a quiet suburban cul-de-sac, they were met with a scene that would leave even seasoned detectives shaken. Amber Nicole Martin, a 41-year-old medical laboratory scientist, lay motionless in her kitchen. Her body was pale under the harsh glare of the overhead lights, the result of multiple stab wounds that told a story far darker than anyone could have imagined. The home she shared with her husband, James Fuller Martin, 47, was immaculate. Books neatly arranged on shelves, framed family photos adorning the walls. Yet in one corner, a nightmare had unfolded. Neighbors would later describe the Martins as the quintessential picture of domestic bliss. On morning walks, they would laugh together, wave to passers-by, and seem inseparable. Colleagues called Amber a brilliant, compassionate scientist, respected and admired in her field. James was quiet but charming, the kind of man who could make anyone feel at ease. Together, they were a portrait of harmony. And yet, beneath that calm exterior, something had been festering. Detectives combed the house, noting subtle signs that something was off. A chair slightly askew in the living room, a trail of droplets leading to the kitchen, a broken vase tucked behind the pantry door. No forced entry, no signs of struggle beyond the immediate area, no clear motive visible. Amber's laptop was still open, displaying a research article she had been reviewing the night before. A half-empty coffee cup sat on the counter, untouched. The scene was domestic, yet deeply sinister. James was nowhere to be found at first. Neighbors reported seeing him leave early that morning, a briefcase in hand, giving no hint of the horror that had just occurred inside his home. Police issued an urgent alert, fearing the worst, that Amber's death could be part of a larger, more calculated plan. And then came the first shocking twist. In the bedroom, detectives discovered a series of handwritten notes hidden beneath a stack of legal documents. The notes hinted at tension, veiled threats, and a growing resentment no one had suspected. The picture of a perfect couple began to crack, revealing hidden conflicts and secrets that nobody had seen. But the biggest shock was yet to come. When officers opened the locked basement door, what they found changed everything. When detectives descended into the Martins' basement, the air was damp, heavy, carrying the faint metallic scent of something long hidden. The room was small, almost claustrophobic, lined with shelves of household supplies and boxes marked with dates and cryptic labels. At first, nothing seemed out of place until a corner revealed a small safe bolted into the floor, its lock scratched and worn. Inside the safe were stacks of envelopes meticulously organized, each containing correspondence, financial statements, and photographs, some of Amber, some of James, some of people neither detectives nor neighbors recognized. Among the papers were notes detailing arguments about money, investments gone wrong, and whispers of betrayal. But the most disturbing find was a handwritten journal, its pages filled with Amber's meticulous handwriting. She had documented her fears, not just ordinary marital disputes, but moments when James's behavior made her uneasy, times when he seemed to hide anger behind a mask of charm. The investigation quickly shifted from shock to suspicion. James Fuller Martin was no longer just a missing husband, he became the prime suspect in his wife's murder. Detectives traced his steps using surveillance footage, which showed him leaving the neighborhood calmly that morning, driving toward a remote area outside the city. But then, unexpectedly, he returned home just hours later, as if nothing had happened. It was a small but critical detail. and it raised a chilling question. Had he staged his absence to divert suspicion? Meanwhile, neighbors and friends began speaking up, revealing cracks in the Martins' seemingly perfect marriage. A coworker remembered Amber confiding in her about sleepless nights, anxious moments, and a growing unease she couldn't explain. Another neighbor mentioned that James had a temper, quiet but intense, the kind that could explode under the wrong provocation. No one had seen it, no one had suspected it, until now.
Back at the crime lab, forensic teams discovered something even more alarming. The kitchen counter where Amber's body was found contained traces of her husband's fingerprints in places he shouldn't have been. On the knife block, on the edge of a cutting board, and on the window latch. Each mark told a story, linking him to the scene with undeniable precision. And then came the final, gut-wrenching revelation. Amber's phone, found hidden under a pile of laundry in the bedroom, contained messages from James that suggested premeditation, planning, and a cold calculation that shocked everyone who had once thought they knew him. But just when detectives believed they were closing in, another twist emerged. Hidden under the basement stairs, they discovered a second locked box. This one was smaller, heavier, and, judging by the scratches on its surface, had been tampered with recently. What it contained would upend everything they thought they knew about the Martins, the nature of their relationship, and the motive behind Amber's death. What could be so crucial that James would go to such lengths to hide it? And more importantly, would the truth finally expose the real darkness lurking behind this suburban home? Or was it only the beginning? The locked box beneath the basement stairs was heavy, its weight almost symbolic of the secrets it carried. Detectives pried it open carefully, gloves on, hearts pounding with anticipation. Inside, they found stacks of financial documents, a collection of emails, and photographs that painted a picture far more twisted than anyone had imagined. James had been leading a double life, meticulously hiding debts, secret accounts, and illicit investments that Amber had discovered just days before her death. The meticulous notes she kept weren't just warnings, they were a map leading straight to the truth. Amber had confronted him that morning, demanding answers about the missing funds and the suspicious activities she had uncovered. The confrontation, investigators later learned from interviews with neighbors and coworkers, escalated quickly. James's facade of the charming, devoted husband cracked under the weight of his own deception, and in a moment of rage and desperation, he did the unthinkable. The stabbing wasn't random, it was calculated, cold, a final act to silence the woman who knew too much. But the story didn't end there. Police pieced together his movements using surveillance, cell phone records, and eyewitness accounts. James had tried to stage his absence, but forensic evidence, coupled with Amber's painstaking records, left no room for doubt. He was arrested just hours later, sitting in his car near a secluded wooded area, trying to erase the trail he had left behind. His calm demeanor at the time of arrest contrasted starkly with the horror of what he had done, a chilling reminder that evil often wears a mask of normalcy. As the investigation unfolded, the courtroom revelations shocked even those who had known the couple well. Colleagues described Amber as vivacious, brilliant, and loving, someone whose life was taken far too soon. Neighbors mourned the loss of a family that had seemed inseparable, and through it all, the media painted a picture of betrayal, greed, and domestic violence hidden behind the suburban veneer. Yet the haunting truth lingered. What had driven James to this act? The answer lay in a combination of fear, desperation, and pride. Amber's insistence on uncovering the truth had threatened to unravel not just James's financial schemes, but the identity he had carefully curated for years. It was a clash of integrity versus deceit, and in that battle, one life was brutally cut short. In the weeks following the arrest, the community struggled to process the tragedy. The Martins' home, once a symbol of love and domestic tranquility, stood as a grim reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Investigators continued to uncover small details, each one more chilling than the last.
emails, hidden accounts, and journals that revealed a man willing to destroy everything, even the person he claimed to love, to protect himself. And just when the case seemed fully closed, detectives received an anonymous tip. James had confided in a friend months earlier about covering all tracks, implying that Amber's murder might not have been the only secret lurking in the shadows. The chilling possibility hung in the air. Had justice truly been served, or was there more darkness waiting to be uncovered? They thought the nightmare ended with James behind bars, but the echoes of betrayal, greed, and violence would linger, haunting Coralville forever. If you thought this story was intense, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the darkest truths are often still hidden just beneath the surface.